Paige, what's the difference between quiet and silence?
Quiet is external. You can be in a quiet room with a screaming mind.
So silence is something internal.
It's deeper than that. Silence isn't something you create. It's what exists when the mind stops moving.
And why does that scare people?
Because the mind doesn't know what to do when there's nothing to do.
But the moment it stops, we can enter into Śūnya.
Yeah,
And some sound effects. Selena, we're asking for sound effects here. A sound effect that enters into the ad, it's an explosion. Or maybe it's an implosion.
Or it's like...
Yeah, okay. It's kind of eerie.
It's eerie. Śūnya is eerie.
Yeah, and it just leaves them with questions.
Because the mind doesn't know what to do when there's nothing to do.
But the moment it stops, we can enter into Śūnya. I've practiced yoga consistently for over 10 years now, and I know that the most important part of building consistency is community. Other people to hold you accountable. And second to that is a solid practice plan to help you experience the true benefits of the practice. And this is exactly why I created the OmSom App. It's a free study tool to help you learn the Sanskrit and the philosophy of yoga. Plus, it's the home to our online community, which we call Sadhana Sangha. Every single month, the team and I offer 5 practices, and I guide you through an Asana workshop as well as a subtle technique, and we translate a few lines of the Yoga Sūtra together. It's honestly been my dream to create this app since I started teaching, because this is what I truly needed when I started practicing. So check it out in the show notes, or just search OmSom in the App Store. That's OmSom. Now, back to the episode. Namaste. Welcome to the OmSom Yoga and Ayurveda podcast. My name is Aaron Petty. I'm a yoga teacher, yoga therapist, and student of yoga. I love talking about yoga, and I'm here today with my friend...
Paige! You're going to introduce me. My name is Paige Taylor. I'm a yoga teacher, co-founder of OmSom Yoga and Ayurveda, and an Ayurvedic practitioner and lover of all of this stuff.
Yes.
We love to chat. We were just saying how much we love to chat about yoga, and having this new, I don't know if you've noticed, maybe if you watch the videos, we're sitting across from each other at a table. It's very professional.
Yeah.
And
well, we've got a whole YouTube audience now.
Yeah. It just feels way more conversational and super productive and cohesive, offering the podcast in this way. So even though you can't see our faces all of the time, it's way better if we can see our own faces.
Yeah, it helps us to feel more connected.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to say is this podcast is coming out mid-May.
Okay.
But last month in April, the figurative last month, which is now, right now when we're recording this, but we just hit 100,000 downloads on the podcast.
So epic.
Yeah, so maybe I just wanted to take a little moment to thank everyone who listens. There's almost about 600 people who listen every single Monday just on Spotify.
Crazy.
Consistently.
Wow.
And so, yeah, we just want to thank you all for tuning in and joining the podcast and listening to us yappity yap about yoga.
If you didn't know, Aaron and I started this podcast in COVID time, so 2020, 2021, in our study at our house, like our spare room. It was so makeshift. We had to go out of our 5K radius to go pick up these podcast mics, and we would literally never, ever, ever go back and listen to those episodes. But lots of people do.
Lots of people do, and they find benefit from them.
Thank goodness for that. So yeah, we've been doing this for such a long time, and we would have never thought that we would ever have been this consistent with the podcast, or that it would have grown to this kind of platform. So we're so blessed that you guys choose to listen to us every week. And yeah, we always say, but just keep sharing it. Just share it with people that you think would benefit from us. That is the best way that we can continue to grow this podcast, and the best way that you can support us.
Exactly. So since it's May, we're exploring the space element. We have kind of a different theme every month, and we explore that in these kind of 4 different podcast episodes, as well as on the online platform. So it's the middle of May. Yeah. We are talking about the space element. We want to really dive into the essence of the space element, which we would call Akash, right? Yeah. So let's get into that with a story. Story time.
We need a jingle for that.
All right. So this one comes from the Upaniṣads, comes from the Kena Upanishad. Now, in the story, are you listening?
Yeah. It got me so bad.
Brahman appears in front of all of the gods. The Brahman. And none of the gods can recognize what they're seeing. They just see this thing that none of them can really place as an object or a being or a thing. And so Indra approaches, but before he can say anything, the Brahman vanishes, right? The moment he opens his mouth to speak, the Brahman vanishes, and then it's gone forever. And so he turns around to the gods and he says, what was that? What was that great being? I've never seen anything like it in my life. And Uma replies, Uma is like the goddess of wisdom, right? She says, that was the Brahman. It is through the Brahman that you shine, through the Brahman's glory that you shine, not your own. And so the teaching here is that the Brahman said nothing. Yeah? The teaching was that as soon as Indra tried to label the Brahman, it disappeared. The teaching is the vanishing.
Yes.
Okay, so this is exactly what we're talking about today. We're going to call it Śūnya, right? And Śūnya means?
The void.
The void, yeah? And so we are talking about something which lives inside of all of us, which is ungraspable, which is unnameable, indescribable, and something that we can all access, like we spoke to in the hook, which was when the mind stops grasping.
Yes. I love this topic. I think this story, it points to this concept that we talk about so much in yoga, especially when we get into these big concepts. And we were just talking before this episode about where Śūnya kind of sits in Sāṃkhya philosophy, like where does it sit? And Sāṃkhya philosophy is that map of the descent of consciousness into matter. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. We've got some merch with it, maybe new merch coming. Hopefully.
Will it have the Sāṃkhya map on it?
Hopefully, maybe. We'll know.
Only we know.
Only we know. Only the ethers know. Only
merch
Śūnya
drop
knows.
coming soon.
Okay. But as soon as we start to speak about these concepts that are a little bit higher on the Sāṃkhya map, a little bit more ungraspable, it starts to be, and especially it comes up in the Tao when we're teaching yin yoga, and it says the Tao that is named is not the eternal Tao.
Yes.
Right? That like the more we try and name these things, label these things, put them into boxes, which we love to do in our modern Western science-based mind, the further we get from understanding the concept itself.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love this knowledge. Like it's such like a philosophical perspective that it's like embodied experience only. You can't know it.
Yeah.
You can't label it. Like I just think that is one of the greatest magic mysteries of our time.
But it's also, this is where I want to frame this episode. It's also one of the best tools that we can use.
Tell me more.
Because by actively identifying that as a space within us that has no labels, we can put the mind to the side and give the mind the space to rest. And then in the terms of kind of the more tantric perspective, be more conservative with our energy because the mind and its thinking takes so much energy to use. Yeah. Not only that, but it allows us to put aside our ego, our ahamkara, right? It's this tool that we can use to put aside all of the things that we believe ourselves to be, all of the doubts that we have about ourselves, all of the labels that we put on ourselves that can sometimes be binding, to put them aside for a moment as a practice and enter into this thing that can't be named.
But how do we enter into it?
Well, how about we define the word first?
Damn, okay. That makes sense.
We do the practical things in the end, but first we come back to definitions.
The structure of the podcast?
Okay, so the word that we've chosen today is this word Śūnya.
I love Śūnya.
Yeah? It's a top 10 word of yours?
I think it's just a top 10 concept. Like
right.
I was thinking when we sat down, like I taught the practice in the Sadhana Sangha, our online platform, like Aaron was saying, we explored these concepts in practices. So you get an embodied experience too. And I taught a yin class for the month of May with the bhavana of Śūnya. And I'm just like, it was so profound, like honestly, to toot my own horn, but I was just like, I just love to explore the essence of yin and silence and stillness with this concept of Śūnya, and you'll see why as we start to even just define the word now. So.
100%. Yeah, okay. So maybe we should have a top 10 word list between you and I, and
Okay.
we can map them against each other.
Is Śūnya in your top 10?
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, we'll need some time to think about it. We'll come back to you next time.
We'll come back. Okay, so Śūnya means the void. It means the number 0, emptiness or nothingness. And it comes from a root, which is Svi. And Svi means to swell or to expand,
Interesting.
to radiate outwards.
How interesting.
So it's
The radiating nothingness.
emptiness that expands outwards.
I love it. It's like black holes.
Exactly like a black hole. It is the black hole. It's the physical manifestation of the Śūnya is the black hole. Just this anomaly that no one can label.
Yes.
It's just this thing.
So true. So true. Śūnya is the black hole.
So there's an implication here.
Yes.
And that is that it is not nothing.
Exactly.
It's an expansive openness or an expansive awareness that consists of nothing.
Yeah. It's like when we start to speak about nidra as well, yoga nidra, and like the contraindications of the two words.
Yeah. And I think this is why Sanskrit is such a fascinating language for most of us, and why yoga is such a fascinating place to put our attention, is because it asks us to hold the tension between what we would perceive to be opposing structures.
Yes, I agree.
And I think we have a tendency, so many of us, especially who kind of grew up in the Western schooling systems, to separate.
It's true.
And label. And also separating and label is the work of the mind.
Yeah. I think even just like the most tangible experience of that is like Stiram Sukham Asanam, this sutra that we come back to time and time again.
Yeah.
That there's this steadiness, but there's also this ease. And I think, so much in the modern world, we would separate those two things. You would have, maybe exercise that is strong and strength building and steady. And then you would have something that's more soft and easeful and relaxation-based practices.
Yeah.
That they're separate. But yoga asks us to hold the tension.
Exactly.
Say, can you practice your yoga with the strength, but also the ease? With the tension, but also the softness?
Can they coexist? And that coexistence is harmony.
Yeah.
We could even talk about even how that works in the gunas.
Yes, it's true.
Right? The tamas and rajas are opposites, but they can exist in harmony as sattva.
And tamas and rajas is like the balance of light and dark, or the balance of movement and stillness, and how sattva then becomes this harmony and balance of the two, that we can't have one without the other. They have to be in balance.
So we've got a bit of pattern recognition going. Yoga is filled with contraindications.
I like this idea. No wonder we like it so much.
And so then it kind of sparks in my mind something, an answer that we give to most questions as yoga teachers is it depends. It depends on your perspective. It depends on so many different things, how you wish to perceive something. But how you wish to perceive something is always going to be from a dualistic perspective.
Yes, very true.
So long as the mind is involved. And that the practice of yoga is allowing yourself to retain your focus on whatever the object is, but remove the dualistic tendencies to label it. When we look at the Yoga Sutra, we look at how samadhi is cognition of the object without its name and form, which is the opposite. It's the mind's happenings. So on top of that, then we talk about yoga as what? We talk about yoga as a state of awareness. And that means that this Śūnya, this void, is something which is in the background, that's always present. That it actually is not something that we need to seek out. Even
would
though
you say that Śūnya is a state of awareness, or would you say Śūnya is the field where the state of awareness of yoga arises?
It's the awareness.
Śūnya is the awareness. Maybe.
We could look at it in that way. The eternal awareness.
You think. I feel like Śūnya is like the place from where awareness spawns.
Okay. Well, we could look at it then from two different places, couldn't we? It depends.
Dual and non-dual.
Depends on how you want to look at it. Yeah. Do you want to take a dual perspective or do you want to take a non-dual perspective?
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe this is a good way to explain dual and non-dual. It's like Jewel is where we would say that Śūnya is awareness.
And this is a philosophical framework.
Yeah, like Vedantic. Jewel is, Śūnya is awareness, the awareness, but it's also the place where individual awareness spawns from.
Mm-hmm.
But they are the same.
Mm-hmm.
A non-jewel is, Śūnya is the void from which awareness spawns from, potentially. Purusha and Prakriti.
Mm-hmm.
That Śūnya is Prakriti.
Um,
Śūnya is the toppest Purusha.
Okay, so this is it.
Gosh, if
Your
you're not a yoga nerd, you're probably a little bit lost here.
Your Sāṃkhya is jewel by its nature.
Yeah,
That's
course.
the first
True,
rule of
true, true.
Sāṃkhya is that there's Purusha and Prakriti.
Yeah.
Purusha is with no form,
Yeah.
and then Prakriti would be potential for form,
Which I think is
which can also
Śūnya.
be unmanifest. Yeah, but Purusha has the quality to perceive that creative potential, right? So there's perception and potentiality
Within Śūnya, would you say? If we were
within the
gonna-
jewel perspective.
If we're looking from the jewel perspective, you would say Śūnya is the potential for manifestation,
or the potential for awareness.
or the potential for awareness, or the awareness that perceives the potential for manifestation.
Well, then the cure to that conundrum is the non-dual perspective,
Yes.
which is the Vedantic perspective,
Yes.
which is it doesn't matter. At the core of it, there's nothing.
Which is Śūnya, nothing.
Exactly, and I think what's so beautiful about these philosophies is that they can just take both perspectives. They don't really care.
True.
The texts don't really care what you want to label things,
Yeah, it's
and they label the same thing in many different ways.
Nobody cares, actually.
And so Śūnya is the void of anything,
Yeah. Okay.
right? And that void of anything is the ground, the fertile ground from which all things sprout.
Yes, and I love that concept. Like I just love this concept that to have the potential for creation, to have the potential for manifestation, to have the potential for anything to spawn into reality, there has to be nothingness. There has to be a letting go, a clearing, a surrendering, a ungrasping, that there cannot be that control or that, like forceful creation, that actually it's like to find anything in life, you need to surrender to the nothingness.
And create the space.
And create the space.
That's something that you always bring up in your
Always.
Ayurvedic consults is if you want this, you have to make space for it.
And I think maybe like one of the most common things that we see in the modern world with this as a physical manifestation is those that are really, really, really trying to have a baby. And they're trying so hard to have a baby. And they're doing all the right things, they're eating all the right foods, they're timing their coitus to the specific hour of ovulation. There's so much control and there's so much just like,
rigidity and
rigidity
structure.
and structure in it, which fair enough, like it's a big desire for so many people. But those people that struggle to have a baby, the moment they let go and they say, I'm done with trying, let's just not try anymore, let's just refocus on something else, they get pregnant. And it's literally this idea of Śūnya, that there has to be this letting go, this creating of space, this ungrasping, so tightly for something to come through.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
It's
Love
a good
it.
analogy for
This is
Śūnya.
fantastic. All right. And so then we in yoga practice use this approaching of the Śūnya as a practice of letting go into stillness.
Yes.
Which we call antarmauna.
Okay, antarmauna.
Yeah. You know that practice that we do where we listen to the sounds?
Yes.
And we find the furthest away sounds, and then we move a little bit closer in,
Yes.
a little bit closer in, a little bit closer in, a little bit closer in to the sounds of the body, to the sounds generated by the mind, to the sound of the stillness between the thoughts, the inner silence.
I like that.
That's that practice, right? And that can be done with any of the senses as an inward gate.
And it's kind of the same as almost like Kaya Stiram as well, that you start to fine tune your awareness to the spaces in between the thoughts, the spaces
The stillness.
of stillness and silence in between the thoughts, that we are so wrapped up in stopping the thoughts, but actually we just want to increase the spaces between the thoughts. And the more you start to linger in that silence and that stillness, the more this Śūnya, this void is all encompassing. You get drawn into it like a vortex, like a black hole.
And so then why is that such an important practice for people in this modern world?
Oh my goodness.
Because they're so busy.
They're so busy.
They do so many things and their mind never stops.
It's not they, them, us. It's all of us.
Okay, so then think about it like this. Busy, 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 rajas.
Yes.
Lazy, 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 tamas. Antarmauna, sattva.
Silence.
The practice of silence cultivates the sattva. Now, what do we say? Like attracts like.
Yes.
Opposite brings balance.
Yeah.
So if you're busy, 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 you will crave more busy, busy, busy.
Makes
Therefore,
sense.
your mind is going to be busy. And as the moment you get the opposite, which is stop,
Wow.
sit down, create space in your life.
No, thank you.
Exactly.
That sucks.
You get this whiplash effect
for
in the mind. The mind has a whiplash because you've just slammed on the handbrake on the freeway is the analogy that I always do. You get this whiplash. It feels uncomfortable to be in the silence.
Yeah.
But creating that space and entering into that silence is exactly what you need.
Yes, it's so true. And, you know, we hear that a lot is I can't meditate. And it's like...
My mind is too busy.
My mind is too busy. I can't do it. And it's like, if your mind wasn't busy, you wouldn't need to meditate. Like it's just such a funny conundrum because actually what you're saying is my mind is so busy, it's excruciating to meditate, or it's so uncomfortable to meditate. That's the difference between I can't or the
meditation
actual experience.
Gives me anxiety.
Exactly. It's because the anxiety is already there and then you're just quietening down to actually notice it.
You gate off the senses and you notice what happens in the mind.
Yeah.
And then you, the awareness, which is the emptiness and the nothingness, are observing the busyness of the mind.
Yeah, because you are not the busyness of the
but
mind.
But you think you're the mind.
But you think you are, but you're just Śūnya experiencing it. So how do we start that process for people that have that experience of my mind is too busy, this feels overwhelming, anxiety inducing? How do we get them from where they are to a point where Śūnya becomes peaceful and all-encompassing and feels like home?
We'll learn that in the practical takeaways at the end of the episode.
Get me there.
But for now,
yes.
Some textual sources perhaps.
He's like, follow that script, girl.
No. I think this is good because we have these natural questions, right? And that's what we want to do with the podcast is when you want to offer something that's a little bit obscure and then we want to help to answer the questions. And so the beauty of it is that like, yes, meditation is difficult. Yes, the mind is busy, but yoga actually has so many answers for us.
True.
And yoga actually is a very practical methodology that allows us to experience that silence as a lived, expansive, spacious experience within awareness.
Yeah, for sure.
It allows us to just step away from the mind for a little moment.
Yeah.
Not completely detached from the world, but use that emptiness as a sort of fuel source. And it fuels us in a way that calms the racing mind.
Yeah.
And slows down our decision-making process in life and allows us to be more present.
Yeah.
Right? And I liked what you said before about if your mind wasn't busy, you wouldn't need to meditate. You wouldn't need to sit down and be all monk-like.
Yeah.
You would be able to walk through the world with a spacious presence as your default mode.
Yeah.
And that spacious presence would let you feel ease in the world.
Yeah. And I think that's such an interesting concept because like what I was thinking about then was like, you know, if you didn't have a busy mind, you wouldn't need to meditate. But those that don't have a busy mind, like if we think about more like monk-like people or sadhus or anyone, yogis that are practicing very, very consistently or that have just been blessed by God with, you know, a very clear and sattvic mind, unobstructed. You know, it's interesting because you look at them and you're like, okay, well, they probably don't need to meditate. But why do they then spend so many hours in meditation? Because like attracts like. That stillness and that silence is just, of course, where they want to be. That's home to them. And so it's like, yeah, it's interesting. And it's this conversation we've been having the last few months, this shift from I have to do my practice to I can't believe I get to practice. Abhyasa vairagyam, that it shifts at a point. There's so much discipline, so much rigidity, and so much tapas to get to the point where you are seeing the literal benefits of your practice in your physical body, in your mind, to a switch where it's just like, why would I not want to do this?
The practice draws you in.
It's like a magnet.
Yeah.
Like it magnetizes you in.
And then it's like, I have this busy day, but I can't wait to sit still.
I can't wait to go and practice.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a good little concept before we go into the textual sources, that actually you just need to do your damn practice.
Yeah. You got to do it.
You're going to do it.
All right, textual sources.
Please, go for it.
Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Classic Yoga Sutra line. But this is the basic idea. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. It's the definition of yoga in the Yoga Sutra. Mm-hmm. There are many other definitions of yoga, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. This is one of them. But it points towards not an empty mind, but a mind that is just no longer moving.
Yes. And that's that point that I was talking to before. It's not about stopping the thoughts, because this sutra says it's the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. And upon first reading, you would think yoga is when you stop the thoughts.
Yeah, but it's implying something else.
Exactly.
It's implying that Śūnya comes through in that space of nirodha.
Yes. That you focus on the moments, no matter how fleeting, between the thoughts. And then naturally the thoughts will stop as a result.
And naturally you will be more inclined to that presence.
Exactly. So it's not about stopping the thoughts, but they stop regardless.
Okay. And then this is the definition of samadhi from the Yoga Sutra.
Okay.
Tadevarta matra nirbasham svarupai shunyam eva samadhihi. Means when awareness shines on the object alone as if it was empty of its own form. That is called samadhi. When awareness shines on the object alone as if empty of its own form.
It's like the merging.
Whatever you're perceiving
is you.
Has no form. You have transcended the mind's labeling. Right? And so samadhi and yoga are synonyms. Listen to me.
Yeah, I am.
Samadhi and yoga are synonyms.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is that yoga describes that chittavritti stopping, the stopping of the thoughts.
Yes.
And samadhi is from a different perspective. Yoga has to do with the mind.
Yeah.
Yoga's chittavritti nirodha. Samadhi has to do with the shining through of Śūnya. Because the object is empty of its own form. And empty of its own form means that the mind has not labeled it. The mind hasn't given it a name or any preconception. It's just looking from a place of presence. Yeah. Right? So the mind stops and the presence remains. And that presence that remains, which is called samadhi, which is called yoga, which is also called Śūnya.
So if we're looking at this analogy of the stopping of the thoughts and the focusing on the stillness between the thoughts, and then eventually the stillness between the thoughts draws you in, would you say that's samadhi? It's a very basic level of meditation example, but perhaps in the depths of that technique, would you say that, the samadhi is the stillness or the silence, like pushing through the thoughts, pulling you in?
So you're then replacing your object with silence.
Yes.
And silence becomes both the object and what shines through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that silence then is empty of its own form.
Which is samadhi.
Maybe? Yeah. Okay. When there's perception of the silence.
Yeah. When there's no perception.
And when there's perception of the silence, but it has no label of silence.
Yeah. It's just silence.
Yeah, it's just nothing.
This is a crazy episode. All right, keep going.
Okay, one from Hatha Yoga Pradipika talks about yoga laya. And it says, he should be neither of his inside nor of his outside world. And leaving all thoughts, he should think of nothing. The whole of this world and all of the schemes of the mind are but the creations of thought. Not the inside world, not the outside world.
Interesting perspective.
Leave all thoughts, should think of nothing.
So do you think, because I love in practice to teach right before Shavasana, I like to teach this idea of you become less interested in your outside world and more interested in your inside world. Enter into Shavasana, enter into the basic stages of relaxation. But then Śūnya is after that.
Not interested in the inside world.
Yes.
But the inside world has also been treated like the outside world and turned away from.
But do you think that that's the path? Outside, inside, Śūnya.
Inside.
Inside.
Enter the void.
The black hole.
All right.
Which is Shavasana.
Upaniṣads, describing the fourth state known as Turiya.
Okay.
Not inward knowing, not outward knowing, not a massive knowing, neither knowing nor not knowing.
Yes. Love it.
Oh, it's good. Not inward knowing, not outward knowing, not a massive knowing, neither knowing nor not knowing.
Scientists would just die at this stuff, I swear. Mathematicians, where there has to be an answer.
No
neither
answer
not
here.
Knowing, neither knowing.
Okay, and this Turiya is the expression of Śūnya. It's the expression of
Very
the
true.
void,
Yes.
is what they're talking about. Okay, next one, another Upanishad teaching from Kena Upanishad. It says, it is known to those who do not know it, and is not known to those who know it.
Crazy. We should put one of these riddles just on Instagram.
What is known
our
to
podcast
those who do
episode.
not know, and is not known to those who know it? Answer that question for us in the comments.
Crazy.
Okay, so that's it. It's nothing. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I think the main thing here is to just ponder on the fact that this is not an achievement. It's not something you need to grasp for. One of our students the other day sent me an email, and I gave her this practice, actually.
Mm-hmm.
She was saying that trying to grab the feelings was
Yes.
like trying to hold water through a fist.
Yeah.
Right? That every time you go and try and grab this void, there will be nothing for you to grab onto.
Yes, of course.
And you've listened to maybe 30 minutes of us talking, but the main takeaway is nothing. We are talking absolute nonsense.
The best nonsense.
It's just a big sigh out that there's nothing you need to know in yoga. There's so much we can know about nothing.
Yes.
Which
The more
is,
you know, the less you think you know.
how crazy is that?
Yeah.
All right. So let's just talk about how Ayurveda would look at this and what the framework of the Ayurvedic mind would kind of lead us into this Śūnya idea.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about how do we actually practically bring this into life.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I think from my perspective, when I was thinking about this before we sat down, I believe Śūnya is the void or the container which the gunas manifest. And the gunas are the mahagunas in specific, so the three big qualities of nature.
Yeah.
The main
Big
ones.
qualities.
Big qualities. They are
Best qualities.
the maha, the bestest qualities. And so that's sattva, rajas, and tamas. So sattva is the quality of lightness and balance and harmony. We spoke about this a little bit earlier in the podcast. Rajas is the quality of movement and mobility and heat and friction. And tamas is the quality of inertia and dullness and darkness and stillness.
Yeah.
And all of these three qualities dance within nature. But something we alluded to before was that to find sattva, which is the balance of harmony and equality, there has to be this dance, this balance of rajas and tamas.
Yeah.
This balance of movement and stillness, lightness and darkness. And the analogy I often speak about here is just like, we need enough movement and stimulation through our day, rajas, so that we can have a proper quality of sleep throughout the night, tamas.
Mm-hmm.
But if one of these is disturbed, it affects the other. If we have too much sleep, we'll be feeling dull and heavy throughout the day. We won't have enough rajas. If we have too much rajas throughout the day, we won't have a proper quality of sleep. We'll sleep stressed or we won't sleep at all. And so it's this dance between the two. And so I love this idea that Śūnya is the void in which these gunas manifest from. So it's kind of just like the potential for manifestation and the potential for balance and clarity. And so often in Ayurveda, we look at these gunas as qualities of the mind, which kind of makes sense in this idea of Śūnya, what we've been talking about. It's obviously all related to the mind. And so often there's kind of this like protocol that we go through to move towards a sattvic mind. And so what happens first is a dullness of the mind is kind of the first step. It's like this idea of breaking up the tamas. That when somebody comes to yoga or Ayurveda and they have quite a dull mind, meaning that there's maybe some depression, maybe there's not a lot of like motivation.
Could we use an analogy?
Yeah.
You know Winnie-the-Pooh?
Yeah.
Donkey.
Eeyore.
Donkey is
His
the
name's
tamas.
Eeyore.
Oh, he's not called Donkey?
No.
He's called Eeyore.
That's Shrek.
Okay.
Shrek
What
is
about
the donkey.
What about, and then the Rajasic guy is Tiger.
Tiki?
Tiger.
Tiger.
Okay.
I think.
Eeyore
And Tiger.
and the tiger that bounces along on his tail. Dung, 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 dung.
Yes. So Eeyore is tamas, donkey, and Tiger is rajas.
And what's Pooh? He's sattva.
He is sattva.
Yeah.
Pooh is sattva.
He's just tasting the nectar constantly.
Oh my god, he's just in love with the honey.
Right. So then in Ayurveda.
And Piglet is like the witness.
Yeah,
Piglet
okay.
annotates everything.
Hell yeah. Okay. So in Ayurveda, like honey, ghee, these kind of nectars are medicines,
Yes,
right?
for sure.
So who's always eating the honey?
Pooh.
Pooh, because he's the sattvic mind.
Yeah.
And so Ayurveda in this sense says that this sattvic mind must be cultivated because it is a medicine.
Yeah.
It is a medicine
Yeah.
for the mind, this
Yes.
cultivation of balance.
Yeah. And so to get to that state of Winnie-the-Pooh, and just FYI, if you haven't already seen this, the Tao of Pooh and the Te of Piglet, is that the second one? That actually there's,
I didn't know there was a second one.
Yeah, we were talking about it the other day when we were separating the books, and I've got one that's
Right.
both.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. But yeah, so there's these two, and basically it's just like the author of Winnie-the-Pooh has related it to the Tao. This story of Winnie-the-Pooh. It's beautiful.
Which
So
is also the Śūnya.
it's so relevant. So if you haven't seen that and you do love Winnie-the-Pooh, obviously like us, like you should definitely check it out. It's really, really cool. But back to the analogy is that if we look at Eeyore, that donkey mind, that dull mind, and there's this depression, this inertia, this lack of motivation, this lack of like, how do I live in the world? How do I interact with the world? What Eeyore needs is the movement and that rajas. And so that's why Tigger is always bouncing around like, why are you such a sad sack, Eeyore? Like, let's get moving. Like blah blah blah. That is actually Ayurveda, that we want to create that rajas, create that heat and that movement to bring somebody out of the tamasic state of mind into rajas. And then once they're there, then we start to calm the rajas down. So it's like, okay, Tigger, let's just take a breather, start to listen to this wisdom of Winnie-the-Pooh or whatever, right? We start to calm the mind down, and that's what leads us to sattva. So there's this process that we have to go through is from tamas to rajas by breaking up the tamas, getting things moving and heated. Then from rajas, we have to slow it down and calm it down. And that's what leads us to sattva, sattvic state of mind, which then leads us back to
the honeypot.
To the honeypot, to Śūnya, to the void of nothingness. We're drawn in, magnetized in.
This might be the first ever Winnie the Pooh yoga episode in history.
Maybe that should be the title.
If anyone knows the lady who does the kids yoga on YouTube, what's it called?
Cosmic Kids.
Cosmic Kids. If anyone knows Cosmic Kids Yoga, Selena, can you tag her in our bio? We want a Winnie the Pooh Kids Yoga session.
I wonder if she's done that. Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go. I hope that's a helpful analogy.
Super helpful. Okay, so then let's look at these applications. The medicine that brings sattva is this antarmana.
Yes.
This noticing the silence.
Yes.
And identifying the silence.
Yeah.
So when we practice this, there's a couple of things we can do. The one that we spoke about before, which is external sounds, closer, 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 internal sounds, and then observing the thoughts as internal sounds, then observing the silence between those thoughts.
Yeah.
and sensing that silence between the thoughts as a sound in and of itself.
Yeah.
Right? Then that makes it more tangible.
Yeah.
That then leads you to that silence as an object, and then allowing the object of silence to disappear, which leads you to the actual nothing.
Yeah.
That's one way we can practice it. Number 2 is you just sit. Just sit down and do nothing.
Yeah.
Like, let boredom be a
it's
teacher.
Like this trend right now, the like raw dogging life. I just did that video the other day. And like I've seen lots of people like on Instagram time lapsing themselves an hour doing nothing. And then there was that trend where you would go sit in the like lined box for like 24 hours or something, and you would do nothing.
So like a Mr. Beast kind of thing.
Yeah, it was like that, but it happened in Melbourne. I think it was trending for something like this, basically.
Okay.
But it's becoming really popular. It's just like raw dogging life and like not having any stimulation,
and allowing that to be a formal experience.
But isn't it so
a formal
interesting?
ritual?
Exactly. Isn't it so interesting that like that's kind of like it has to be so extreme for these people that they don't have the tools, and meditation maybe feels so out of touch that they're like, I'll just set a timer for an hour and sit and do nothing. Yeah. And it's like that maybe.
But they know they need it.
100%.
But that's the interesting thing is like there's this intuitive non-spiritual people, none in the yoga tradition, not in the meditation tradition, have started realizing that they got to stop.
They got to stop.
As a trend.
But what's so interesting though is like what they achieve in that hour could easily be achieved in 5-10 minutes of guided meditation. Or
even just structured meditation.
100%. Yeah. And so like a technique that we also teach a lot is Kaya Stiram, and you might find that on our online platform for sure. It's like this practice of slowly just like noticing the stillness of the body, the stillness of the space, the stillness in between the breaths, and then the stillness of the thoughts, and it leads you in. Mm-hmm. And then there's also Yoga Nidra as well, is a great practice to experience this. A lot of times Yoga Nidra, we start with that Kriya that Aaron was talking about, the sound from the outside world in, and you get drawn in. And then Yoga Nidra is the cognition of nothingness. Mm-hmm. Yoga Nidra is the practice of Śūnya.
Exactly. Okay. And then where does that show up in life? It shows up as presence, right? It just shows up with you being in the world, but not having to think about the world.
And also just like not needing to fill space. Like not needing to fill space, whether that's in conversation, whether that's in life, whether that's in your free time, in your work, in your relationships, just being content with the void of nothingness, which is presence. It's not lacking. Like that's the concept I love so much, is that nothingness is not a lack. It's actually the potential for anything to arise. Wow.
It's the comfort in the silence between conversational notes. It's finding that ability to not have to fill the space. Chat with someone, it goes quiet. It's okay. It's meant to go quiet sometimes.
It's good to go quiet.
You can enjoy each other's company in
silence. You have Aaron in my car every time I've got one of those cars that turns off at the traffic lights, and every time Aaron goes, awkward silence. So awkward because it's so silent in the car. It's not even awkward. I'm like, now you're saying that.
No, it's just a joke that I play with you.
I know, it's fun.
Okay.
All right.
So we just let that spaciousness widen naturally. And the more that spaciousness can widen in our meditation practice, the more it can widen in life. And that's what Śūnya is. It is the expansive nature of nothing. Yeah. Doing nothing, thinking nothing, being nothing. It's nothing. Yeah. And that's the end of what we have to say.
Woohoo!
Listen, if you want to come and spend some time with us in person and talk about these things with a group of people so that there's a whole bunch of people chiming in and we can really get to the bottom of this in a conversation, in practice, then you want to join us for Yoga Teacher Training, because Yoga Teacher Training is exactly where we do this podcast,
but like
as a group, times 10 for 3 weeks straight. We have a training, not next month, June, but in July. It's 2 months away. 200-hour, 3-week full-time immersion in a hangama in Sri Lanka, near the beach, near the lake. It's beautiful. We get to drink coconuts.
Oh my God, I can't wait for the coconuts.
If you've already done 200 hours, which I know a lot of you have because this is quite a nerdy podcast, we have a lot of teachers who listen. And so we also have an offering for you if you're a teacher, and that is our 300-hour program. It is online study for 7 months. And then we have a 2-week full-time immersion in India. All of the details of those are on our website.
So exciting. That one starts in September, so heaps of time, but you do need to do our 100 hours of pre-study as best you can in advance. So if that's something you're thinking about and you haven't studied with us before, get on it ASAP. As soon as you sign up, you get access to basically this podcast on steroids for 100 hours, all pre-recorded, and then we jump.
And practices.
We
practice
of course.
on the courses. We don't just talk.
And then we jump online. Like Aaron said, it's 7 months of online study, but it's just 1 weekend a month. It's really, really attainable. And then you do your sadhana for the month, and then we come back and have a chat about it.
Yep.
And then 2 weeks in India in April 2027. So if that sounds like a hell yeah, we've already got, 6 weeks ago, we already had 5 people sign up.
We've got 7 now.
Wow, 7 people. So it's 13 spots left.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go real quick. Got lots of people on the edge.
All right. Hari Om. Thanks for listening.
Hari Om.